This is an argument against the truth of the Abrahamic religions, which I have titled The Argument from Intuitive Beauty. I want you to imagine a world without religious apologists. Now think about the role they play in our world. Religious apologists have the unsavory job of clarifying scripture or texts. They are burdened with the task of explaining the actions of a divine entity, one whose attributes infinitely exceed those of any human. Now ask yourself why we need these people. Why do we need humans to explain or clarify the intentions of a perfect being? What clarity could they possibly offer, which a perfect being was unable to offer first? Considering this, doesn't it seem more likely that human interpreters would only taint the perfect message, could only take away from the flawless work of a being so complex that it can create universes with only a day for rest? Well, the apologists certainly don't think so. Think about what their very existence implies about their views towards God. Apologists think that they can do a better job explaining their deity than their deity can. But let me tell you what strikes me the most about apologists. It begins with a concept I call intuitive beauty. This is a concept that helps give context to our understanding of what strikes us as beautiful. Consider Gandhi. When we think of him, we think of social revolution, peace, and equality. We mentioned all these attributes, and yet when we see how he approached these goals, we see non-violence. We see that even when these end goals can be brought about by violence and desperation, they can also be brought about by peaceful means. This is how you go about creating change in the world. This is what it is to win a game of chess and then take your opponent out for ice cream afterwards. All around the world, almost unanimously, people of all faiths, dialects, ethnicities, and cultures can respect and admire this man for what he accomplished. Now, let's put Gandhi in the context of intuitive beauty. For billions of humans on Earth, the actions of Gandhi are intuitively respectable. By our basic human nature, we recognize that this is someone who had beauty and class where it really counts. But Gandhi is a man, and humans are flawed. Gandhi, I'm certain, was a very flawed human being. But I'll tell you who's not flawed. Perfect deities are not flawed. So, whereas we saw Gandhi's accomplishments on the world stage, and we can see that most people view these actions as intuitively beautiful and respectable, when we look at a perfect deity of the type subscribed to by billions of people on Earth, we would expect to see similar but vastly improved outcomes in terms of the intuitive beauty of this God's actions. At this point, I want to bring the Old Testament into view. I don't know how familiar you are with it, but it's a good place to start looking at the acts of a perfect deity on a world stage. Now, in a previous video examining the Old Testament, I made the startling realization that what separates a morally perfect being from a genocidal maniac is whether or not you happen to believe that one of these entities is perfect. That being said, it's clear from the Old Testament that Yahweh has a bloodlust for non-believers, or for people who would endanger the Israelites, his chosen people. So, when we look at the actions of a lowly human, Gandhi, and we see universal respect and admiration, and then we look at the actions of a perfect divine being, Yahweh, and we see abhorrence for his genocides and public condemnation of his rules about how to properly own other humans, we can see that the intuitive beauty of each of these characters is out of sync with how we would suspect it to be. Upon critical examination, we would expect to see high praise for Gandhi, but virtually unlimited praise for the creator deity. But that's not what we see, and this brings us back to the role of apologists. Apologists are the missing link connecting two concepts: what we would expect God to be and what he actually displays himself to be. This is why we need apologists, because God's actions on earth are not even as intuitively beautiful as Gandhi's. This is why we need people to explain away total war, genocide, infanticide, filicide, and other crimes against humanity. The God of our major religions is not intuitively beautiful. The God of our major religions is abhorrent.